The National Assembly is considering the report of the Standing Committee on Appropriations on the Division of Revenue Bill. The bill outlines how government revenue is divided between national, provincial and local spheres of government. Let's take a listen in.
As presented by the Chief Whip, adopted. Are there any objections? Honorable Nell. Thank you. Abstention will be recorded. Since there are no objections, the report has been agreed to. Honorable members, the House has now adopted the report concerning members who have contravened the Code of Ethics, ethical conduct and disclosures of members' interests. The report has recommended that together with the fines, the members be reprimanded in the House. I also want to indicate, honorable members, that Honorable M.L. Ramuhuba, understanding that she was supposed to be in the House for this purpose, she has tendered her apology to the Speaker because of the international trip that she had to undertake. But as you know, honorable members, at the time at which she is in the House, the same reprimand will be given. I request the following members to stand. Honorable Order, Honorable M. Zelanga, Honorable M. Shengwa, Honorable Ndlela, Honorable Nhlamulo Ndlela, Honorable M. Khaga. Members, please stand, remain standing. Honorable Mufukeng, Honorable Zigalala. Order, honorable members. Honorable Nell. Order. Honorable members, you would all appreciate that the Code of Ethical Conduct and Disclosure of Members' Interest provides a set of values for members. Among other requirements, the Code obligates members to annually declare their financial interest in a public register. This allows the public to confirm that no member may have been exposed to any conflict of interest. Honorable members who are standing today, you have failed to disclose your financial interest for 2024 in due time. I just want to advise members that if a member has missed the date, indeed we acknowledge that you have missed the date and you shall be reprimanded as such, but you are still equally obliged to tender your interest. So it doesn't mean that these members have not declared for 2024, but they were late in terms of the deadline. It is apparent from the committee report that you provided fair opportunity to present your records, and not having done so, to adequately explain your failures, your actions had the potential to erode public interest in Parliament. Honorable members, I just want to say this is unacceptable. It's also objectionable and deserving of serious consequences, as it has already been determined by the committee in terms of the fine that you have been given. I also note, as indicated above, that financial penalties have been imposed. These penalties will be implemented without delay. I trust, therefore, that this reprimand sends a message to all of us as members to live up to our obligations and ensure that we comply with the code. Order, members, I now conclude the reprimand and members may resume their seats. I thank you. Order, honorable members. Order, honorable members. I just want to advise you again that Monday, this coming Monday, is the last day for disclosures. can I remind you once again to make sure that you do so without delay? Order, honorable members. This is not a matter that really we should be laughing about. It's important and it's serious for all of us. While we are reprimanding the members who may not have done so in 2024, but it still requires that all of us are conscious that we must attend to this matter as members. Thank you, honorable members. Can the secretary read the second order?
Consideration of the report of the Standing Committee on Appropriations on the Division of Revenue Bill.
Thank you. I now ask the Chief Whip.
Thank Honourable Speaker. I move that the report be adopted. Thanks.
Are there any objections to the motion? No objection. Agreed to. The Secretary will read the third order.
Second reading debate, Division of Revenue Bill.
I now ask Honourable Maimane, as the chair of the committee, to come to the podium and present.
Honourable Speaker, fellow South Africans, honourable members, Bagaetsho dumelang. Let me first of all acknowledge and thank the work of the Committee on Appropriations for being able to, through a very difficult period, process this report today. I tabled the committee's report on the Division of Revenue Bill for 2025. Fellow South Africans, there can never be a debate. Any budget isn't just a matter of numbers or just a framework. It is an expression of the people's dreams. It is a hope that the people of this country will have more police, more jobs, and ultimately healthcare in their communities. So when we treat this matter today, we are conscious of the fact that this must always be an expression of the people's budget. It gives expression to our constitutional framework designed to promote cooperative governance, appropriate accountability, and service delivery. So when we look at just the over 2 trillion rand national budget between the three spheres of government, let's be cognizant of the people we are speaking about. We consider the Division of Revenue Bill when our country's national fiscus is under severe strain. And therefore, the first point the committee wants to make, without a shadow of a doubt, is that our dilemma is that we desperately need growth. Our country needs investment. And however way we look at it, if we don't achieve the above, we will continuously be doing more borrowing, higher taxes, and ultimately another fuel levy. It's also important that at the core face of where our people live, they are feeling it, that services aren't always being delivered, because as much as the government is in severe debt, so are our citizens. SALGA affirms the fact that for many people, they are living from hand to mouth and ultimately not able to pay for their services. Fellow South Africans, it is thus important that when we consider all the appropriations, that we do so fiscally and we do so prudently. I want to welcome, and this House can celebrate the removal of the VAT hike that was tabled in the budget. It would have placed disproportionate burden on the poor during what is already a tough economic crisis. I also want to suggest that we need to think harder about how we expend our revenue streams. It cannot be so that our only process to prosperity is taxation. We need to think about how we decrease illicit financial flows that continue to drain our fiscus, eliminate wasteful expenditure and corruption. And in this regard, we also welcome the increase in funding towards SARS in the elimination of illicit traffic financial flows. The Division of Revenue this year, as a framework, allocates 42% to provinces, 48% to the national sphere, and 9.7% to local government. With all the pressures that are before us, I think there are three issues we need to think about. The first is the question of debt, and therefore as a committee we note the fact that there's an increasing target as to when debt to GDP will mature. And therefore, Minister, I want to welcome your invitation to say let us as a committee work together to ensure that the additional loan that has been put by the World Bank can be processed by this Parliament. The second is the question of data. It's important, honourable members, that we get accurate data when we are processing information. Census results have told us that municipalities are using outdated data models which distorts the provincial equitable share and the local and the municipal equitable share. The third is that we need to think harder about our municipalities. They are all stating the fact that the 90-10 formula isn't working. So I welcome the review on the white paper, but more must be done to ensure that we deliver. Minister, it's important that we acknowledge the 19.5 billion rands allocation towards education and the increase towards early childhood development from 17 rand to 24 rands. More can be done and we can improve the quality of our children at that level. I want to highlight the fact that more must be done to capacitate our crime-fighting mechanisms. Fellow South Africans, I want to, as I commend this report for adoption, highlight that our game now in town must be how do we improve efficiency. These are the three recommendations this committee would like to make. Is that a comprehensive audit of review of government agencies must be undertaken to ensure that we deal with efficiency in spending of public funds. We must bring these spending reviews in line to make sure that all of us have bang for our buck. This is about the dreams of our people. Let's reduce the increase of debt. Let's ensure as a parliament that we can table a new budget next year that expresses more of the dreams of this people. I thank you, honourable members. I support the bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Honourable Khanyane.
Honourable Speaker, thank you so much. I stand here to support the bill. Today is the 26th of June 2025. It is exactly 70 years since the historic Congress of the People which adopted the Freedom Charter. By any measure, the Freedom Charter inexorably and irrevocably elicited a new form of national consciousness, inculcated universal human values and solidarity with the poor and the oppressed. It inspired hope to generations of revolutionaries and ordinary South Africans alike that apartheid and all its obnoxious manifestations were certainly not invincible, and that a democratic, just, and equitable order was inevitable. To thank the illustrious generations who made this vision possible is noble but inadequate. We should, in our everyday actions, live the Freedom Charter and further the ideals of the Freedom Charter and further its ideals. Honourable Speaker, in stark contrast to the optimism of the Freedom Charter, we are reminded that the 20th of June 2025 was a Friday. This was a dreadful day 112 years ago, a day about whose impending dawn and enduring consequences were poignantly lamented by the then ANC Secretary General Sol Plaatje, when he said, I quote, "The South African native found himself not actually a slave but a pariah in the land of his birth." We draw these parallels, Honourable Speaker, firstly because it is not just about the calendar method in teaching history, but because these days tell a story of the political economy of South Africa. Secondly, Speaker, as a ring of consciousness to ourselves here, that as we enjoy the immunities and privileges and the etiquette of being called honourables, we should not forget that those in whose names we are here are frustrated by widening poverty and deepening inequality. Unemployment is rising exponentially, worse affecting youth and women. Honourable Speaker, the African National Congress knows that the 2025 division of revenue is tabled under very constraining economic conditions globally and nationally. We want to take this opportunity and thank you, Minister of Finance, that the bill shows prudence, resilience, and a commitment to accelerate the pace of transformation and further the lofty ideals of the Freedom Charter. Key amongst the features of this bill, Honorable Speaker, are the stabilization of government debt, unprecedented increase in infrastructure investment with manifest intention to support higher economic growth, maintenance of social wage, including health, education, social protection, community development and employment programs. The chair of the committee has spoken about the allocation that has been made to basic education. Despite the limited fiscal space, this bill allocates 2.95 billion, translating to 49.8% of total non-interest spending to provinces and municipalities over the 2025 medium-term expenditure framework. This implies that nominal growth rates over the 2025 MTF are 4.5 and 4.4 for provinces and municipalities respectively, leading to marginal above inflation increases. At provincial level, Honorable Speaker, marginal above inflation increases translate into a 33 billion increase in the provincial equitable share from 600 billion in the past financial year to 633 billion in this financial year. Additional to this marginal above inflation increases to PAs, conditional grants to provinces increased from 130 billion in the 2024-25 to 134 billion in this current financial year. This overall increases, Honorable Speaker, in the PEs and CGs to provinces demonstrate intention by the ANC-led government to support increased funding in education and health to alleviate ongoing service pressures. Building on the progress that has been made in the last 31 years, the Department of Basic Education should ensure that indeed the doors of learning and culture are declared wide open. The Freedom Charter states that education shall be free, compulsory, universal, and equal for all children. Honorable Speaker, one of the potent instruments passed by this Parliament for the ultimate realization of this vision is the enactment and the coming into implementation of the Basic Laws Amendment Act. The Bella Act ranks high among the progressive legislations aimed at transforming our society from the myopic apartheid societal architect, habituating core values of access, equity, and redress. The allocations that are being made are meant to accelerate the pace of transformation and eliminate social injustices to ensure that the South African child fulfills access to the status and fulfills the obligations of a global citizen as envisaged in the National Development Plan and informed by the ideals of the Freedom Charter. There is no time, Honorable Speaker, to procrastinate, and neither do we have time to prevaricate. The Freedom Charter becomes. The Bella Act regulations should be a manifestation that we are unflinching on the ideals of the Freedom Charter. Honorable Speaker, the Freedom Charter exhorts us to view government expenditure in the economy, education, and health as equally fundamental for human development. However, allocations to education and health should be viewed as an investment rather than a cost, and therefore, National Treasury should allocate sufficient funds to public services. In this regard, the ANC urges National Treasury to release provisional allocations of 41.3 billion, of which 12.2 billion is allocated for this current financial year, so that provinces can recruit, retain and rebuild workforce and infrastructure to ensure that public education and health sectors deliver on their constitutional mandates. We further urge the National Treasury to put mechanisms in place to prevent rising accruals in the provincial departments, especially education and health. Honorable Speaker, with the marginal above inflation increases, the local government equitable share increases to 106 billion in the current financial year. Conditional grants are also increasing by less than 1.5 billion. We welcome the initiative by the Department of Cooperative Governance to introduce the Municipal Systems Improvement MSIG to support municipalities in performing their functions and stabilize institutional and governance systems. Whereas local government in general seems to be deteriorating, we are worried that there are 38 municipalities in the country plagued by serious problems ranging from institutional instability to failure to meet constitutional obligations. There are practices in certain municipalities that are intolerable and do not meet the standards of government institutions. It is sheer hooliganism and political thuggery to have a municipality with two parallel administrations. It is very clear that public representatives like this pursue no noble intentions, but they are insatiable greed and self-aggrandizement. What makes it even worse is when we continue to allocate funds to such institutions and cannot timeously intervene. A spate of municipalities in strategic areas for economic development are failing to pay employees. Ngomazi in Mpumalanga is one of them. This is the municipality that should be instrumental in the Maputo regional corridor, strengthening regional integration by enhancing links between South Africa, Mozambique, and Swaziland. The local municipalities are another in the news for similar reasons. It is the public for whom these appropriations are made who suffer as these shenanigans continue ad nauseam. Honorable members, in our executive and oversight responsibilities, let us rise and ensure that the allocations are made to serve the people of South Africa within the doctrines of the Freedom Charter. The reforms that are due in local government should revamp and coalesce this sphere to live to the expectations of providing the real sustainable antithesis to the Group Areas Act and other apartheid spatial deficiencies. Honorable Speaker, we should go back to our basis and work diligently so that we can come back here one day like President Mbeki did on 25th of June 1999 and say the dark clouds of despair are lifting,
Honorable
giving way
member,
to our
your
season
time
of hope.
is up.
Thank you so much.
Honorable Mwali.
Madam Speaker, honorable members, Madam Speaker, as we observe the Youth Month and reflect on the sacrifices of the youth of 1976, let us remember that the right to basic education is a fundamental right that is recognized in Section 26 of the Bill of Rights. This is an absolute, non-derogable right that may not be qualified or infringed even at the state of emergency. Ironically, Section 26 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights recognizes as basic human right the right to basic education, declares that education shall be free at least in the elementary and fundamental stages. Parliament has enacted the Bella Act, which provides, in line with the Constitution, that all children in South Africa have a right to access basic education. The Bella Act goes further by making Grade R compulsory. The GNU budget and the Division of Revenue Bill that is being considered today fails to allocate funds to make it possible for all children of South Africa to attend Grade R. The failure to make this financial allocation will hit the hardest those children who are born in poverty. The face of poverty is a permanent feature in South African landscape. In a country where the reality is that race is still the fundamental determinant of class, the face of poverty has color, and the face of poverty is black. And so we urge, Madam Speaker, that the failure of the budget of making the Grade R compulsory is a denial of black children and of basic education, of black children a right to basic education. It is a violation of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. It is a violation of
honourable
Section
members.
26 of the Constitution. It violates our law in a form of Bella Act. It is an abomination, Madam Speaker. It is equivalent to spitting on the graves of the gallant generation of young people of 1976 who sacrificed their lives for the education of a black child in South Africa. For the sake of children, and for this reason alone, this division of revenue bill and the entire budget must be rejected. There are certain features of the budget and the division of revenue bill that ought to be rejected by those who have conscience in this house. These features are as follows. The National Treasury has made additional allocation outside of the provincial equitable share formula without justification for its determination. These allocations are made to some provinces and not to others. And this undermines the certainty of the provincial equitable share formula, and it is a mockery of the intergovernmental fiscal relation. The SRD grant, Madam Speaker, will end in 2025-2026. There is no strategy to deal with the increasing number of municipalities who have faced with financial distress, including eJozini, abantu abaholile izolo. The replacement of VAT by fuel levy is a replacement of like for a like. Both are regressive, they deepen the consumption spending and are anti-poor and anti-growth. The National Treasury should consider more progressive tax measures. The statistics on proposition of household below affordability threshold in each municipality continues to be based on 2011 census, and this is unacceptable. Kubantu bakithi South Africa angisho lokhu sengivala. Kulandela ukuthi sizame konke ukuvezela lo hulumeni ukuthi kupho ngakwenza okungcono. Kwala ukuthi ke useyinhlelweni eziningi zokucindezela abantu bakithi. Sinamhlanje sikubudget number 3 ngenxa yalo hulumeni ongenawo amadlebe okulalela ngisho ama suggestion azokwenza izwe liye phambili. Kodwa ke sesibukushiya kubantu bakithi ukuthi uma sekuyokhethweni bazi ukuthi lo hulumeni wenza konke okusemandleni ukubacindezela. Ngiyabonga Speaker.
Order, Honourable Wakelin.
Honourable Speaker and Members of Parliament, the DORA Bill must be more than a disbursement mechanism. It must be a weapon, a catalyst used against unemployment, corruption, decay and hopelessness. The harsh reality is that the DORA report paints a grim picture, one of systemic failure, corruption and incompetence. Many municipalities are drowning in debt, unable to collect property taxes or service charges effectively, and are heavily dependent on transfers, some of them up to 70% of their budget. Rural municipalities are on a life support, particularly vulnerable and crippled by capacity constraints, poor project management and corruption. However, Speaker, there are some shining lights in this dark world. These are the shining lights of Democratic Alliance-run municipalities and province. Cape Town, top tourist city in the world, 7 years in a row. Cape Town, fastest growing metro. Midvaal, clean audit 11 years in a row. Western Cape Province, more children finish matrics in this province. An independent audit report shows that the best 6 municipalities are Democratic Alliance municipalities.
Order. Honourable Member, can you take your seat?
An independent audit review shows
Honourable Wakelin.
that the top performing...
Honourable Wakelin, can you please take your seat? A point of order. What's the point of order?
Speaker, we should not mislead the House as honourable members.
Order,
Cape
Honourable
Town
Member.
does not exist.
Order.
Of the white areas you've mentioned, there's Khayelitsha, there's Guguletu, there's
Order.
Menenberg.
Honourable Member.
Where's the black areas? Mossel Bay?
Honorable Member, I asked the point of order under which rule, and I think you are getting into the debate. When your party comes, you will then debate. Thank you. Proceed, Honorable Member Wakelin.
Thank you, Speaker. An independent audit review shows the top performing municipality, Mossel Bay, 6 clean audits. Midvaal pays their creditors on average in 10 days' time. The Auditor General referred to Midvaal as a model to replicate all Gauteng municipalities. Our municipalities has become a model of efficiency, delivering quality service, maintaining infrastructure, and creating an environment for economic growth. Why is that the DA municipalities can do that and the others cannot? The answer is simple. It's not more money. It's not more people. We get the basics right. So the message today is we need to get the basics right. As far as the Western Cape is concerned, they proudly maintain consistent clean audits, demonstrating transparency, fiscal discipline, and responsible management. Why? Because I got the basics right. Since 2024, we have started to turn the tide as a GNU. Are we there yet? No, we're not. Do we get it right all the time? No. Do we make mistakes? Yes, sometimes. But are we on the right track? Yes, we are on the right track. Corruption and management. Speaker, first and foremost, we must deal with the matter of...
Honourable Member Wakelin, if you can take a seat. There is a point of order on this side and there's a point of order here. Order, let me hear the point of order. What's the order and under which rule?
Rule 68, we are debating the Division of Revenue Bill. The Honourable Member is totally irrelevant to the Division of Revenue. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The order is not sustained. Order, Honourable Paseka.
The Honourable Member mustn't stand in front of us and lie.
What's the point of order and under which rule?
He's lying. No, he's misleading the House.
Honourable Member.
The first province is Free State, KwaZulu-Natal, Gauteng, Western Cape is number 5.
Honourable Member.
The DA member must never lie to us. He must never mislead us. Thank you.
Honourable members, when you are actually called to order, please do. There is a point of debate. Member from your party will come and debate. But secondly, you know very well and you corrected yourself. It's not parliamentary to say a member is lying. Misleading, you were correct the second time. So on that one, you were wrong. Please withdraw. Thank you. Can we move? Honourable Wakelin, can you please proceed?
Speak on a matter of corruption and mismanagement. First and foremost, we must deal with the matter of corruption. Corruption and mismanagement are the twins that kills progress and growth. Billions meant for infrastructure, healthcare and education have been stolen or wasted. The Aegis report exposed a pattern of looting, nepotism and outright theft that has robbed this community of their basic rights. These are not isolated incidents. They are systemic failures that's rooted in weak leadership, political interference, and a culture of impunity. The Zondo Commission damning revelation exposed the depth of this rot. We call on the President, let us deal and finalize the recommendation of the Zondo report for once and for all. Let's finish and close the book on this ugly past that keeps haunting us. Let's bring those that are complicit to book now. Let's bring justice to our people so that they can trust us. Here's a few words on the provincial and municipal leaders and management. The Auditor General report shows weak project management, non-adherence to procurement laws, and a lack of accountability, which has resulted in delays, wastage, and substandard service delivery. The failure to spend budget allocation on time and effectively hampers development and deepens inequality. Rural areas, which desperately needs investment, remains neglected, while urban centres struggle under the weight of ineffective governance. The leaders and managers' ongoing incompetence is damaging and unacceptable. And for too long, this House has tolerated these failures. The question we need to ask, why does this poor governance culture persist? It's because of weak leadership, political patronage, and a lack of consequence management for those that are looting. We need to overhaul the approach. We need to empower honest, capable leaders enforcing strict oversight. What is the DA's approach? The DA's approach is clear. Root out all corruption, strengthen the institutions, and enforce accountability. We need to introduce performance-based grants that reward good governance, transparency, and operational efficiency. The truth is, Speaker, although not perfect yet, since the junior started, we've seen some real changes. A culture of willingness to enforce clean-up governance, a willingness to reduce corruption, a drive to provide service delivery, and a strong motivation to restore public trust in the government. Lastly, Speaker, but these speakers are just the tools. The real change depends on one thing and one thing only: the political will to reform. And lastly, we as a democratic line saying to you, we have already started reforming government through our own ministers, deputy ministers, and committees. The question we need to ask ourselves is, this is just the beginning. We are on a mission to rebuild South Africa from the ground up. We will continue to root out corruption, strengthen institutions, and deliver results.
Remember, your time is up.
The DA supports this report.
Order. Honourable Member Tambo, if you can wait a little bit, you can take a seat. Order, honourable members. Again, let me remind you, you can make interjections, but you can't drown the speaker. Secondly, honourable members, please consult your rules. Order. Consult your rules. There are certain words, phrases that are unparliamentary. It doesn't matter whether you speak them in Afrikaans or in English or in Zulu or Pedi, they still remain so. So some of you were shouting, I couldn't see exactly who, Yeilich, you know what that means. So please don't allow your members from your party to contest the debate, not to shout from your podium. Order. Can you please be quiet yourself? Thank you, Honorable Tambo.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Let me begin by greeting the Commander-in-Chief and President of the Economic Freedom Fighters and all members of Parliament of the EFF. Speaker, allow me to first express my condolences to the families of the EFF's June 16 battalion, which passed away tragically in Vryheid following our commemorations of June 16. To fighters Bonga Konke Mate, fighter Ntombi Ndlovu, fighter Lungani Sunday Mbata, Phumlani Zulu, fighter Thokozani Mashazi, Ayanda Khumalo, Kwalisile SABC, fighter Manqelo Siboniso, fighter Thuthukani Dube, fighter Siyanda Thwala, we say rest in revolutionary peace as you died on the picket lines. Let me also express my appreciation and commendation of the President of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, for developing the testicular fortitude to remove the Deputy Minister of the DA, who was ineffective and incompetent. And long may these removals continue. Speaker, so the Money Bills Act stipulates that the Division of Revenue Bill must be in line with fiscal framework. And we have long labored as the EFF that the budget process has been characterized by deceit. And this deceit is twofold. This is deceptive consultations that made an impression that there will be alternative revenue generation mechanisms which will be included in the budget, and we do not see them anywhere today. Furthermore, deceptions in terms of 3 ring-fenced options of austerity, borrowing, and strategic tax adjustments, which were the rationale for the generation mechanisms in the first version of this budget. The minister has now implemented all 3 of these things: austerity through numerical cuts and below inflation allocations to all departments. He has now implemented borrowing through a 1.5 billion loan from the World Bank, and he has also implemented tax adjustments through the fuel levy. Now, as the EFF, we have now introduced the Public Finance Management Amendment Bill, which will restrict reckless and irresponsible borrowing from financial institutions globally, because there must be an authority of parliament that guides all loans which are conducted. House Chairperson, the EFF rejects the 2025 Division of Revenue Bill as proposed by the Minister of Finance and agreed to by the Democratic Alliance, Action SA, Rise Mzansi, and BOSA, led by Honorable Maimane, who is also the chairperson of the Standing Committee on Appropriations, because that committee has failed to fulfill its constitutional mandate. Before we deal with the contents of the bill, let us remind the people of South Africa of what took place not so long ago. When we were processing the Division of Revenue Bill that had to be withdrawn because the Minister of Finance lost the VAT court case, the committee had resolved to amend the bill, and Honorable Maimane will remember this. We had agreed that more than half of the 257 municipalities are in financial distress, with 20% of them not financially viable at all. That means they're unable to meet even the most basic obligations required to deliver services. We had agreed that for far too long, the assumption that municipalities will collect sufficient revenue to fund service delivery is false and not sustainable. The majority of our people are unemployed. The economy is stagnant, racial inequality continues to deepen, and we have more than 12 million people without work, 12 million people with no ability to pay for services, even if they wanted to. We had also agreed that the growing number of indigent households, many of whom are not even registered for indigent support, deserve automatic and unconditional access to free water, free sanitation, and free electricity. We also questioned why the National Treasury has reduced indirect grants to municipalities. Why allocate only 61 billion in direct and indirect infrastructure grants when studies and reality show that municipalities need over 122 billion? More importantly, we had agreed that there is merit in the SALGA study, which demonstrates that the deliberate underfunded mandates across all categories of municipalities are reckless and irresponsible. We had a consensus, we had a plan, we even agreed on a way forward to amend the bill and increase allocations to municipalities that are collapsing in front of our eyes. As the EFF, we made written and oral submissions to the committee. We participated in what we believe to be genuine democratic processes that will reflect the will of the people. We propose that allocations to municipalities should increase from 9.5% to 14%. This would increase the local government share by 88.4 billion. We were specific about where the money should come from. We propose funds must be reallocated from non-essential expenditure such as ministerial imbizos, provincial events, excessive travel, catering, inflated consultancy fees, and the corrupt tender system that has become a source of looting. We emphasize that education and health must not be touched. These are essential services, services that serve the poor and the working class who cannot afford private schools or private hospitals. The committee resolved that the proposals should be assessed by the Parliamentary Budget Office so that an objective analysis could guide decision-making. Honorable Maimane, the chairperson of this committee, himself proposed that we consider SALGA's model of equitable share split. We welcomed this proposal. It was a moment of political maturity and collective commitment to finding common ground. We had an opportunity to make a difference, to amend the bill and give our people water, sanitation, roads, refuse collection, and dignity. We had an opportunity to end sewage leakages in Diepsloot, in Alexandra, in Nyanga, in Kayamnandi, where the Democratic Alliance governs, in Umlazi, in Tembisa, in Orange Farm, in Soweto. But all of that was ignored just because the so-called government of national unity had already agreed to maintain the status quo, even though it was not working. Parliament has thus been reduced to a rubber stamping exercise. We are now presented with a bill that offers no solution to the fundamental challenges of local government. It is a copy and paste of failures. The equitable share formula has remained rigid, outdated, and fails to respond to the current needs of our people. It continues to favor historically advantaged municipalities and ignores those deliberately underdeveloped by apartheid and neglected by democracy. There's no urgency in this bill, no emergency plan to intervene in dysfunctional municipalities, no special allocation for collapsing rural towns where raw sewage flows into rivers, where people walk for kilometers to collect water, from a borehole shared with livestock. There's no consideration of youth of this country, young people who could be employed through municipal programs. This bill is a betrayal of the working class and we reject it as such. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Hadebe.
While the IFP supports the procedural passage of this bill, we do so with reservations. We call for a more needs-based and developmental approach to the division of revenue, one that is informed not only by mathematical formulas, but by the lived realities of our people. We urge this House and all spheres of government to use this opportunity to close the gap between policy intent and practical implementation. Let us not allow the ideal of equity to be reduced to an exercise in spreadsheets. Let it become instead a true instrument of justice, development, and hope. The IFP accepts. I thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Mackenzie.
Speaker, before
Order,
when the honorable member of the Economic Freedom Fighters was standing here speaking about the June 16 battalion, there were people laughing. I don't like the EFF, but in death, we should have respect. We should respect people and not make fun when they speak about members that has passed on. Those are South Africans that has passed on, and we should show respect. And we shouldn't laugh when somebody mentions the death of their members.
Thank you, honorable member. You may proceed.
The Patriotic Alliance.
Order, honorable member. I think the point that has been raised, indeed, though it may not have been a point of order, but it's important. I think when order, honorable member, there was some people who laughed, and I think we should accept. If we didn't hear them, it's okay. But I think the point made, it's important for all of us to recognize. Can we allow the speaker then to continue with his intervention?
Thank you, Speaker. Minister of Finance, the Patriotic Alliance, the fastest growing political party, judged by election results, support the division of revenue bill. We also want to congratulate you. You have been going through what we would say the most. You've been called names, you've been insulted, but you remain resolute to find a solution. You are one of the best finance ministers this country has produced. This bill, budgets has collapsed countries. They've collapsed different governments. But this budget, at the end of the day, we are here today and we are going to pass it. It shows that we are not a Mickey Mouse government. We are a government with a plan.
All right, live visuals there from the National Assembly. Minister Gayton Mackenzie on the podium now. Judging by the little that he said now, it seems, of course, that he will be endorsing that report. That is, of course, the considerations that are currently taking place. They're considering the report on the division of revenue